Hello and welcome to Full Tech Ahead. This is Amanda Rosani, your host, and I'm happy to be here today with Fred Jordan. Fred, tell us a little bit about yourself.
About myself, well, so I'm a French physicist, and I arrived in Switzerland 30 years ago, where I made a PhD in applied mathematics. And today I founded the company FinalSpark, who is working on making the first living processors. That means processor where basically we replace transistors with living neurons.
Wow. Okay, so I have to hear all about this, as I'm sure our audience does too. Tell me a little bit about this. How did you come up with this? And I imagine it took a good deal of time and effort to get there.
Okay, yes, these are two questions actually. So the way we came to this, I would say, a bit by luck, okay, and by necessity. The thing is that we have been working for a number of years on alternate models of artificial neurons. So, with AI, normally what you do is that you use simulations of neurons, which are very crude and coarse simulations. And we wanted and we implemented way more sophisticated models of neurons. Still, artificial neurons, that means simulations running on digital computers. But we realized that the power consumption that we got with those pseudo-realistic simulations was so high that we needed kilowatts of power for simulating a few hundreds of neurons. And one of our employees was actually working at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in the lab of Professor Mark Ram, where he was basically making measurements on biological human neurons. And we realized that those human or biological neurons in general are way more power efficient than their digital counterparts. That means 1 million times more efficient. So that's a huge difference. So on one side, we had a power problem. And on the other side, we had a solution potentially, which was to replace the simulations of neurons with actually real neurons.
And how do
So,
you do that?
so I can tell you how we try to do this, okay? Because you have to realize that it's a bit like quantum computers. It's still a field of research in its infancy, I would say. It's new. So what we do is that we start with stem cells, and from this we create neurons. We have our own cell culture lab, and from neurons we connect them together to create so-called brain organoids. So it's not the full brain organ. Okay, organoid means it's a bit like, but smaller and simpler. And we end up with something like a small ball of a half a millimeter. So something that you can see with your eyes, but it's still small. Okay, and we put it on electrodes. And we use the electrodes to communicate with the brain organoid by sending electrical signals and listening to the responses. That's it.
Wow. So, how difficult is this to set up? I assume, are you doing this in a big lab? I imagine this might be a little bit technical, but if you can share.
Well, it's not a big lab. No, cell culture labs are not, well, can be quite small actually, but we have a lot of equipment, and it's a bit complicated, I must say, because you have to make many things right. Okay, first you have to have the biology correct. Okay, I said creating neurons, but there is a full science behind cell culture and neurobiology in order to get those living neurons. But even when you've got these neurons, that's not enough. You've got to keep them alive. And for this, you need basically water with a lot of other things inside, which are going to feed the neurons somehow. But you should also change this regularly. So we have pumps which are pumping this new supplemented water 24/7. And you should have electronic, which is able to detect very small, very faint signals that you get from the neurons, because we are talking about a few tenths of microvolts, okay? And you have to make sure that you have no contamination. That means no bacteria, for instance, that they are at just warm at 37 degree, 5% CO2 atmosphere. So the atmosphere also is very special. And if you do all this right, you may have a fruitful discussions with those neurons.
Wow. How many are you collaborating with any other partners or companies on this? Is this going to be available to the public anytime soon? Can you share some use cases for it down the road?
So the use case is pretty simple at this point. It's the equivalent. We want to make the first bioserver. That means, on the internet, you are using so-called cloud computing. Okay, you're not computing on your device, you're computing in the cloud. But in practice, that means that there are some servers somewhere, like Amazon Web Services, for instance, which are big factories with hundreds of processors running 24/7 to serve people. And we want to do this, exactly this. We want to replace these servers, digital servers based on silicon technology, by bioservers based on living neurons.
Wow. And you said this reduces the amount of energy drastically. Is this the answer to sustainability and a better environmental footprint?
Definitely, yeah. If we talk about some specific fields, okay, you cannot use those so-called biocomputers for any kind of task. It's like quantum computers. You cannot use them for any task neither, okay? But tasks like generative AI, which are already consuming a lot of energy and is going to explode actually, yes, potentially this can just solve the problem of the consumption. Not reduce, but I mean, reduce to the point it's not a problem anymore.
Got it. Yes. Generative AI, that's what we're hearing constantly. That's the main tool it seems that the public is focusing on. So this is a great step in that direction. Do you have any goals, future goals that you're trying to achieve?
Well, the goal is exactly this one, being able to make a biocomputer which is available for the public, But in order to do this, there are many challenges. This has never been done. Okay, this is going to be a new industry. It's a kind of revolution, coming from digital to biology for processing information. Okay, and one of the most important steps today is to be able to master the connection between the neurons. As you know, at the heart of artificial intelligence, there is the training step. The training step for artificial neurons consists in finding the right connections between the artificial neurons. So that if you show, I don't know, a cat to the camera, it's going to say it's a cat, okay, and not a dog, okay? In order to do this, you have to tune the weights of the connections between these artificial neurons. And this is the same for us. We have to modify the synaptic connections between our living neurons so that if we input something, we get a useful output. And more generally, this is the same for you and me. In order to do something correctly, We have to train. And when we train, this is what we do. We refine the connections between our neurons to be able to achieve a given task.
So, your company, where is your company at right now? What stages is your company in?
So it's really the research stage, okay? We have these brain organoids connected to electrodes. And if you actually go to our website, finalspark.com, you can go in the live section and you will see the activity of those neurons in live, in real time, okay? Streamed directly from our lab here, just sitting below me, and from Switzerland. So, and it's not only available for the public just to see, but also for researchers. So we give free access to a number of selected projects from universities who want to perform experiments on those neurons. So right now we have about 10 universities using remotely those neurons and to help us actually in this incredible task. In addition to this, there are a number of companies who wanted to perform their own research. So we started also to rent access to some brain organoids for them.
Awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to share with our audience today?
Well, I don't know. That's what we are trying to achieve is something I would say quite incredible. That I find very inspiring, and I think we can imagine a great future with technology, and we have to be optimistic with projects like this.
Absolutely. Well, I'm excited to go on the website and watch that and follow this as you move forward.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you to our audience. Stay tuned. There's more podcasts like this coming up.